The Olympics is dying down. Attention is shifting to the question of legacy. After all, London's bid for the Games was won on some pretty big promises about the regeneration of one of the most deprived areas of the country. But to what degree will the transformation of London's East End benefit local people, some of whom were moved out to make way for the Olympic Park? Well, now there are plans in the shadow of the stadium to knock down a housing estate to make way for a new university campus. Aisha Baksh has the story.
Lying in the shadow of the Olympic Stadium is the Carpenters estate. This place has been home to hundreds of London families over the last 40 years. But since 2005, the area has undergone a remarkable transformation.
We was going to have everything, weren't we? The Olympics? Westfields? Come on!
But the growing appeal of Stratford has attracted the interest of UCL, a large university looking to create a new campus in the East End. The proposal on the table is for the University College London to build a new state-of-the-art campus here. If it gets the green light, it means these homes and gardens will be replaced by lecture halls and laboratories.
Unbelievable. Couldn't believe that they were going to force me out of my home to build a university.
Reactions was disappointment, obviously very deep disappointment, anger, and also uncertainty.
Walking through the Carpenters estate, it's hard not to miss the boarded up windows and abandoned houses. Joe Alexander is a resident and is leading a campaign to save the estate.
It's depressing for some people. It's it's demoralising, especially with the decant going on and having the community dismantled in front of your eyes.
The elected mayor of Newham believes UCL's bid is an opportunity for the entire borough, in particular the next generation.
They're one of the half dozen best universities in the world. Now, the idea that we can bring that sort of talent, that sort of skill, that sort of aspiration to our young people in Newham has got to be important to us.
So that will continue.
But when UCL first presented the plans to the residents in September, they got a rough reception.
Trains and the buses and the shops, and we've all got to be pushed off. We're not interested in what you're going to do.
I understand the strong feelings, but this is the site that meets our needs, and we're only looking at. Sorry if I
Eventually, Mary got her chance to tell UCL what she thought.
Thank you. I would like to say to UCL, if you honestly think that I'm going to give my home up to you or anybody else at my time of life, forget it. I will fight you. You will have to drag me out. It is mine. It belongs to me.
But clearly speaking out took an emotional toll.
I get too upset when I'm told, because this is my life, really, isn't it? He's winning the race and I'm losing.
After the meeting, we caught up with Mary, a former teaching assistant at the local school, and her husband Brian. They bought their 3-bedroom home back in the 80s under the Thatcher government's Right to Buy scheme.
I've lived here 42 years, moved in with 2 children, Susan and Brian. I loved working in the school with kids. It's brilliant. And my youngest daughter ended up being a teacher in the school. I became very ill in March and I needed friends and neighbours, and they've been really good. And Dolores, well, if I'm not around for a day or two, Dolores will knock to make sure I'm fine.
Hi, Meg.
Hello,
how are you? Yeah. I'm all right, come in. Yeah. Mary's great fun. We've known each other now for 26 years. She was the first one I met, so I think she was a bit nosy. She knocked on the back door. It was like about the same day that we moved in, and she sort of said, "Hello, I'm Mary from next door."
Like Mary, Dolores also owns her own home, so the council has said they will buy their properties at 110% of the market rate. However, neither of them think this money would buy them an equivalent property in up-and-coming Stratford.
I would literally have to move out to get somewhere, and to get somewhere decent.
Forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us.
Reverend David Richards is the local vicar and a fierce defender of the community that lives within the Carpenters estate.
The police say that this community has a very low crime rate. It's a place where people feel safe and are safe. It's a place where people talk to their neighbours. UCL don't need to demolish these properties to build a new development.
I think the moral balance is such a difficult one, and I really do, but I think that on the one hand, for UCL to establish a presence in Stratford is a remarkable thing, which can help, I think, advance not just the financial fortunes of that community, but also social benefits.
Around 500 residents remain on the estate and half are council tenants. Eileen and Andy have rented their home from the council for the last 15 years. They fear being moved away will severely disrupt family life.
Obviously, if you've got kids and you've got grandchildren, you don't want to be miles and miles away from them.
What Eileen and other tenants were promised was the chance to return to the area once new accommodation was in place. But UCL have not said how much affordable housing, if any, will be set aside for tenants.
A home loss payment, which is a fixed...
Tony Bird is an independent advisor who's been employed by Newham Council to help the residents. He's worked on dozens of regeneration schemes.
It's quite unique in my view, because this is the first time that I've ever come across a regeneration where they are removing the entire community without making any new build provision replacement on the site.
Now, when I first spoke to Newham's elected mayor about this back in January, he promised a right to return for all residents.
We'll listen to people trying to stay together and keep communities together. As I said, we've promised that people can come back if they want.
But when I asked him again some months later, the situation was somewhat less clear.
I can only say we'll do the best we can.
So it's an empty promise?
No, well, an empty promise.
You can't deliver on your promise?
I've said as best we can. What can I say other than that we'll have property, there'll be some, and we'll then say, well, if you want it, you can have that. By the way, they can move just across the road because there's council housing just across the High Street, Stratford High Street. And there's council housing just at the other side of the Olympic Park, right round the Olympic Park. So, as 70% of people have stayed in the area.
Residents such as Eileen, however, remain deeply sceptical.
What I would say to Robin Wells is that he shouldn't make promises he can't keep, or he has no intention of keeping.
On a cold evening in October, Newham Council's cabinet met in East Ham to decide whether or not to accept UCL's initial plans. Mary and the others weren't able to see the decision being made in person, but they still managed to make themselves heard.
UCL out! Out save the Carpenters estate!
It took just 45 minutes for the decision to be made. The mayor guided the cabinet to accept UCL's initial plans. The estate moved one step closer to demolition.
My hopes for the future are remaining here in my home, living here in a community that I've grown to love.
My hope for the future would be that UCL will change their mind.
42 years and they want me to give it up? Come on, go out fighting, you bet I will.